All right, guys, I'm here with Jason Stevenson. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Very good, very good. So you're at the end of the day right now? Pretty busy?
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's like a dust cloud that goes up and then it just falls, and then you figure out everything that went wrong for the day or went right for the day. So
And then you have to start over the next day.
yeah, exactly. Yep.
All right, so I want to respect your time. We'll jump right into it, and I want to keep it short and sweet so that you can get back to your business, your family, or whatever you have going on.
Yeah.
So,
Appreciate that.
so I have 5 questions here for you. There were a few questions on the post in the group. A couple of them you already answered, so we don't need to spend more time on those. But there was one question by Gustavo that we can address as number 6. But let's start with these 5 questions that I have for you. First of all, can you tell us a little bit about you, your background, kind of how long you've been in e-commerce?
Yeah. So I've been in e-commerce for 15 years. Actually have a banking background. I was with a company called Citibank. Everybody's probably heard of that. Was an executive with them for about 12 years, and literally was working probably 80, 90 hours a week for 12 years, and it was good money, but just never saw my family and got tired of it one day and said, I want to do something different. So me and a friend of mine, we started an internet company doing like networking, like hardware type stuff. And that bled over into doing e-commerce websites for people back in 2003 and 4. And of course, it was super primitive then. There was literally one or two companies that were out of the box, services, and you had to modify everything, and wasn't near like it is today. So anyway, kind of learned kind of the ropes that way. And then I come from a motocross background too, with motorcycles, ridden and raced motorcycles my entire life. And so I had a friend of mine that he had started an e-commerce site selling little dirt bikes. And I got talking to him, and he was basically telling me everything. And I was looking at his site, and his site just didn't look very appealing. It was just kind of real, just, I don't know, just not up to speed, for even that time. And so basically we started talking. He said, hey, let's start our own company and let's do something together. You can come in and be in charge of kind of marketing and sales and all that. And, I'll do the back end of importing and all that. And so that all sounded great. We started to go down that road, and one thing led to another. Didn't work out, but I'd already learned everything about the business. I was already in the motorcycle kind of world with my background in riding and racing, and I already knew the e-commerce side of it pretty well. And so just decided to start my own thing. And that's when I started Orion Power Sports. And it's kind of the model that hasn't changed much in 15 years, but the business has changed a lot, I guess, and the way we operate. But basically we started out buying from distributors that buy these products from overseas, that import these, and then we're kind of a dealer here. We buy from the distributors. And so we were kind of the first to really ever kind of really sell this kind of product online. And I remember back in 2005 and 6, when I first started, my family would literally thought I was crazy because I quit financial services, literally left it, went to work in computers, and then decided I wanted to start my own online business. And of course, you can imagine how crazy that sounded back in 2005. But did it, and wasn't sure if anybody would buy this kind of product online. But back then there was no Amazon or anything like that. So, it was, uncharted waters, but we did it, and we did really well the first few years, from 2000, I guess, 6, 7, and 8. And then of course the economy, went kind of bad in 2008, and we still did okay. We still made a living at it, but it wasn't what it is now, of course. And, the rest is history, they say. But that's kind of how I got involved with what we do. Is I kind of took my love of motorcycles and kind of my newfound learning of online business and just kind of merged them together.
So obviously you sell motorcycles, but can you tell us a little bit more, kind of the range of products that you offer, plus what's your demographics or your market?
Yeah, so obviously we sell dirt bikes imported. These are not like Hondas or Yamahas, what people have heard of. These are sub-level brands. These are budget bikes, basically, is what we call them. They're good enough for the market as far as quality goes. But then we sell all the parts that go around those, that surround that entire product, whether it be wheels or tires or whatever. They're primarily for the bikes we sell. We sell some aftermarket parts that will fit other models. But mainly we sell parts that are based around our models and support those bikes that we sell. So
So is your market mostly in the US?
it's all in the U.S. We only
Only
do
in the
U.S.
US,
sales. Yeah, we don't do any
exclusively. Okay.
outside. Yeah, we don't do any outside of U.S. sales. Our demographic it's funny. I saw that question earlier about everybody or people that buy this must be daredevils, and it's funny. Typically, we do have a demographic. It's typically anywhere from 25 to probably 45 or 50 years old. These are guys that are typically into motorcycles, or they're looking for a hobby, that involves motorcycles of some sort. But it's usually, male, gender, a certain age, and the demographic is pretty specific. Their interests are pretty specific. Typically, these guys drive trucks, pickup trucks, and they ride Harleys maybe, or they ride other dirt bikes or stuff like that. Or it's the guy that's buying the bikes for his kids, and maybe he rode dirt bikes or something, or his kids want to get into it. Now, it's funny you say that about demographic, though. Our demographic has changed a little bit the last 18 months or so. We actually started offering these bikes. We used to just sell these in the crate. So the way they came from the manufacturer from overseas, they'd be in a metal frame crate, and you had to do some assembly on them. Well, we started a service 2 years ago where we build the entire bike for them, and actually offer a full setup. We actually start the bike, test it out. And we started that about 2 years ago, and that changed our demographic a lot. We noticed a whole new segment of the market coming in that had no experience with motorcycles whatsoever. And we were excited about that, to introduce people to motorcycles that had never, ever, owned one. And what we figured out is that people live in certain areas where they just don't have a dealership around them, but they could, get something through the mail. And if it was fully set up, it took away the scariness of a motorcycle, So we're excited about this. So the demographics changed a little bit, but for the most part, it's still the enthusiast, at the end of the day. So.
Very cool. So the next question is more about the results that you've obtained with your store. So I know that you've got quite a bit of success with the store, but can you tell us a little bit more kind of how it happened and how much sales you have?
Yeah, so we've averaged, since we started in the early days, and it was so hard to track in the early days because we had an HTML website literally that I built from scratch in Microsoft, I don't remember you remember the HTML site builder. I used to literally use that when I first started, and built every page was built, from scratch. Maybe it was a template copy or whatever. And then we would use a back-end processor, just buttons on the website. So it was a little hard to track sales then. But we've always, I think from after that second year of business, I think we've always done a pretty strong six-figure, sales base, probably anywhere from 250 to maybe 750, depending on what year and what the economy was doing. But when we switched over to BigCommerce, we actually switched to BigCommerce in 2014. I had an HTML site literally until 2014. And so we started growing enough, and we were always averaging probably 20 to, maybe 40,000 a month in sales online. But we noticed in 2016, obviously things started going up. The economy started recovering a little bit better, 15 and 16. And then literally we went 2 years in a row. We did about 750 in sales in 17 and 2018. And I was really frustrated. I was trying to figure out why, we're not hitting that $1 million mark. And that's really what my goal has always been, is do $1 million in sales online. And so started looking around, and we got a call from Shopper Approved. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of Shopper Approved, but they're just a review service that facilitates reviewing and Google reviews and all that stuff. They called us. Took about 2 months for us to implement it, but we implemented it in February of 2019. And literally, it was like somebody flipped a switch on. Now, at the same time, we redesigned our site at the exact same time. We were using just a generic template off of BigCommerce, and we redid the site. We had a custom site built, literally put maybe $1,000 into that custom site, and we're pretty happy with what we got. It's not perfect. There's little things we need to change, and we're still working on that kind of stuff. But we redid the site in February 2019, did the Shopper Approved, and all of a sudden we started getting all these Google reviews. And I think we're up to 300 something Google reviews, but the conversion rate, our conversion rate has been pretty low compared to what other industries are online. But we're in a high ticket item. Our average ticket's about $560. So our conversion is going to be a little bit lower because of that. But our conversion rate doubled, which is that's not like going from 20 to 50% or 20 to 40%. Our conversion rate is very low. So it's percentage wise, it's not very big, but it still works out at the end of the day, where if you put people in the funnel, you're going to convert that many more sales. So it made a big difference on the on getting those two things done, the site redesign and shopper approved. But it was literally like overnight, we went from averaging probably 40,000 a month to where we haven't been under 100,000 in sales since we did that. Since last year, we've done over 100,000. And then all of a sudden, Christmas, this last year, Christmas, we're a seasonal business too. So Christmas is usually pretty good for us. We hit the 200,000 mark, December, and I was elated. I was like, oh man, I never thought I would do, that gets us, on track to do the million. We did 1.3 million last year, but 200,000 of it was in December. And I was very excited about that. And then I'm not sure what happened, but in February, we started getting busy again. We noticed the uptick, which typically Januaries and Februaries are pretty low. January was very brisk. We still did over 100,000 in January in sales. But then February came along and we did like 160,000. And I was thinking, man, this is crazy for a February. And then all of this shutdown happened with the coronavirus stuff in about the first week of February, and that all started. And it was like somebody went turbocharge on us. Like literally, it's the craziest thing ever. In March, we ended up at like 250,000 in sales, gross sales. I think that ended up being like close to 500 transactions on our website. And then we thought, okay, we can barely keep up with this. And then April just went berserk. And we're finishing up April today, obviously. Right now we're at over 1,000 transactions for the month, and we're at 512,000 in online sales this month. Oh. And I can't even explain to you how unprepared I was for that. So
yeah, growth is challenging. You gotta. What's the expression? You got to be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, and I speak this into the universe, and I've seen this. I try to visualize this, and I do a lot of that kind of stuff. I really believe what you can see in your mind, you can achieve, and you can make those things happen. Yeah,
Napoleon Hill.
Yeah, the world is just, I've read that book so many times. It's just such a strange way that your mind works, and when you see yourself doing things, but you also have to remember that there's resources that have to support that. You have to fill those orders, and that's where we're at now. I've had to hire like 6 new people in the last 3 weeks, and figure out different systems and how we're going to manage this better and all that.
But it's a quality problem.
It is. That's it. Yeah, that's exactly right. So, so it's nice.
So what would you say, maybe during this time of growth, but also before that, what were the biggest mistakes that you made, maybe that slowed down your growth, that now you've learned from them and you can, say what the better way of doing that is?
So talking about that, the review system, that I waited way too long for that. I should not have waited to do that. I had a love-hate relationship with Google reviews, because there's nobody policing those. Nobody can, anybody can get on there and write whatever they want. They don't even have to be a customer. And so I hated Google reviews. I absolutely hated them. I did not promote those, didn't do anything with those. But I didn't understand the power of social reviews, and even, and people seeing that. And I've seen the numbers, whatever the numbers are, people, that converts 80% of shoppers, or whatever the numbers are. But I really didn't believe it, and I didn't want to believe it. I hated the system that they have, but it's Google, and you have to play the game that they have created, unfortunately. And so that's one of the mistakes I think I made, is I didn't do that soon enough. And then redesigning the site, I think, was also pretty crucial. The spending money on ads too. So at the same time that we also did the Google reviews, we started spending a little bit of money on Facebook ads. I've kind of toyed with those over the last 2 or 3 years, maybe boosting posts and that kind of stuff just to get more traffic. But it's really about consistency. And that's really what we started doing. So in April of 2019, I started doing a little more consistent. So I would pick out whatever my budget was. I think I started like $10 a day. And said, okay, I'm going to spend $10 a day, and I'm going to do this for 30 days and see what the results are. And you can track everything, obviously, in Facebook and in metrics and all that. So I started doing that and started seeing some results of that. Well, about 6 months after that, there was a program, I guess, released on BigCommerce called ROI Hunter or something like that. So it's basically like a retargeting. It's like AdRoll and the rest of them that do retargeting. This one is super easy to use. If you have a BigCommerce store, download this app, and it's literally like autopilot. You just choose your budget and it'll retarget those for you. I have converted, so that has paid me. I almost hope they don't watch this video and see how much money I've made off them, because it's ridiculous. I think I've spent, I don't know how much the total is, but I bet I've spent probably 4,000 or 5,000 with them the last maybe 12 months. That's converted to about $500,000 in sales is what that equates to.
That's a big ROI.
Huge. Yeah, huge. And I actually have had them contact me. They see the results. They've contacted me and want me to upgrade to a pro account and all that. And
yeah.
I'm like, well, but I got a free account right now. What they want me to get like my own rep and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, let me think about it. But that's been a big deal. So what I did is I started increasing my Facebook budget last year. So I got it up to like $40 a day. And then the conversion, that ROI Hunter, I got it up to $40 a day. And here's what you understand. That seems like a lot of money. And it is, if you're just starting out your store and you don't have any sales, or maybe you're not where you want to be. Yeah. But unfortunately, that's the name of the game now. You've got to spend a little bit of money. And if you have a good product and you have good customer service and you've got a way to facilitate everything, it's just an investment. And that's the way I looked at it. Back in the old days, there was no Facebook. We had to, harvest traffic other ways. But now it's easy. It's easy to get traffic to your website right now. You have to pay for it, but it's still easy. And so that's what I did. And now what I did this last month, and I don't know what is happening now, because we're not paying for the traffic we're getting now. We're up to, so we were only getting about 800 uniques a day from Facebook with that $40 budget. Well, I went down to half of that about 2 weeks ago, and my traffic is just continuing to go up now. I don't know, this traffic is all organic. I think it's some social, stuff is going on. We are super high ranked in Google, which we always have been because our domain is so old. And we have a huge amount of keywords, and our site is set up SEO the right way too. So we're pretty organic in Google. But I do no Google ads. I only do Facebook marketing. That's all I do. And I've lowered the budget now, and the traffic is just continuing to climb. And so, some of it is, who knows what a lot of it is, but most of the traffic is just organic. It's search traffic, a lot of it, and then some of it is just direct links, probably from backlinks or whatever. So,
like, how much do you think that this traffic is due to the pandemic, the COVID, the lockdowns?
Oh, a ton of it. Yeah, a ton of it. And I'm kind of worried about that a little bit. So when everything opens back up and people go back to work, a lot of it is due to that. I noticed a sharp increase when everything shut down in March of the traffic. So yeah, a lot of it is due to that, obviously, because people are at home not doing anything and they're shopping online and, all that good stuff. So
we shall see.
Yeah, we shall see.
So the last question I had for you, and then we'll get to Gustavo's question here, but how do you didn't mention having a good product. So how do you find like a winning product, a really good product that your audience is going to want?
Yeah. So when I first started out, I bought from other distributors, and the bikes then, we were only selling bikes. We sold products, but not like we do now, not like a lot of them. So the bikes then were a lot different. The quality was not as good as they are now. Obviously, everything's gotten better. We've taught them what the American market likes for that price range. And so for me to find products, like I said, I had a friend that got me involved in the business. He knew some of the distributors, and I was introduced to some of those distributors then. And I still do business with some of those guys now and buy from them. Now, in the process of all of this, we also created our own name brand of bikes. So I ordered directly from the factories our own bikes that have our own stickers on them, and they're built the way that we like them. So other distributors, I don't have that. That means I don't have that way to do that. They build what they want, and we buy it and put it on the website and sell it. But the other thing that's kind of unique about our business is that we touch our products. We're not a drop ship business. I take that back. We do have one distributor that we drop ship bikes from in California, but for the most part, everything we sell, we touch. And so, because we have to build it and, ship it and all that. And everything we ship is freight shipment, by the way. It's not like UPS. Well, except for the parts are, but the bikes have to go freight shipment. And so, so to find good distributors, we just kind of, when you're in this industry, you just kind of know who sells what. and you become a dealer. In our business, we're motorcycle guys, so we become a motorcycle dealer. Obviously, there's a license in our state that we have to have, so we have that obviously, and all that good stuff. But to find good quality products, early on, I had the philosophy early on of that I wanted to know about what I was selling online. I didn't want to be the person that just drop ships an item to somebody and you've never seen it or touched it or anything, especially with a motorcycle. I was in motorcycles, so it was easy for me, but every bike that we sold or have sold, I have seen, I've turned a wrench on them, or I've ridden them. Every single thing on our website. I've seen every single bike, at least on our website. And that's kind of unique. But I wanted to make sure that if somebody called me and said, hey, I have a problem with this, we wanted to be able to help them and provide tech support. So that's kind of why I took that philosophy. But finding distributors in other industries may be a little bit different. For us, like I said, we're not in a drop ship business, so we get to see and handle the products. So.
Which also gives you a chance to evaluate the quality of the products, which ones your customers are going to like better, and add your personal touch to your product line as well.
Yeah,
interesting.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's get to Gustavo's question here in the group. You addressed the other two, so let's just jump to that one. So he's asking, how do you handle warranty information for anything mechanical? So I receive a motorcycle and a week later it won't start. It's under warranty, but I'm in another state.
Right. So that's a good question, real good question. That was one of my worries when I first started too, is like, okay, I sell this to somebody, they call me in 2 weeks and it won't start or won't work or something happened, what now? I'm probably a simpleton, I guess, because I wanted to take a product and make it very simple. And these motorcycles, believe it or not, they sound complex. And this is kind of part of my philosophy too. I also wanted to take something that sounded complex and be able to sell it online and simplify it and make it simple for people. So these dirt bikes that we sell, which is our main line, we do sell some street bikes and that kind of stuff that are on road that are a little more complicated only because of the lighting system and that kind of stuff. But for the most part, most of the products we sell, there's only about maybe 6 or 7 things that could go wrong with them. Literally, and that's no exaggeration. And I know what those 6 to 7 things are. And so what we do on our warranty is we offer a parts replacement. Literally, these parts are so cheap that we're buying, for example, like an ignition for like an electronic ignition for a motorcycle that run these things. That part cost me maybe $3 or $4 at the most. So what I learned early on is that I wanted to offer a really good warranty to attract people, and they wouldn't worry so much about this purchase online. They would feel better about buying it. I knew that if I had to eat $2 or $3 or $4 here and there, that was no big deal. It was worth that. So what I did, I was one of the first ones in our industry to extend that warranty to a year. All of the manufacturers give 90-day warranties on all their products. So what we did is we extended it from the dealer aspect of a full year. And it was just a gamble I was willing to take. It was a risk that was just a no-brainer to me, because the parts are so cheap. Yeah, it's totally worth it to get more sales. Yeah. So yeah, that's how we handle the warranties. It's a parts replacement. That customer sends in a part that's broke. Well, they call us for tech support first, and we narrow it down. It's okay. We think it's this. We have some tests that they can do and a couple of things that's pretty easy to do. We narrow it down. We say, okay, send us that part back. They send us the part back. If it's a cheap part, $2, $3, we just send them another one. Don't even worry about it. If it's something that, that's more complex, we may test the part first and then send them another one. But what's funny about that too, is that, believe it or not, we don't do a lot of warranties. One thing, the product has gotten better. Even in the early days, it was good enough where we didn't do a whole lot of warranties. Most of the time, people that call in for warranties, it's stuff that's not covered. It's like, hey, my kid ran into a tree, and broke something, or I forgot to change the oil in it, or I forgot to put oil in it, or something like that. It's always, a lot of times it's stuff that is just excluded, or it's something like a tire or a tube or a chain, like a wear and tear item. Right. So for the most part, we've been pretty fortunate. And again, that's why I hedge my bet and say, okay, I'll extend the warranty out, because I know that if I do have to replace something, it's very cheap, anyway.
Awesome. Well, listen, that covers all the questions that I had. If people in the group have more questions, they can comment below the video. If you have a chance to answer them, that'd be great. But no expectation there.
Just tag me in the post so I know. I look at Facebook maybe once every other day. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 days, but just tag me and then I'll see the notification. I have no problem answering questions. Yeah.
Sounds good. Listen, thank you so much for doing this. I'm sure it's going to be extremely valuable for members in the group. They're going to be able to learn a little bit from you. And I just want to thank you a lot.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.
Cheers.